Okay, welcome everyone to today's webinar, Incident Communication is Broken, Learning How to Fix It. I'm Sean Penny, Director of Product Marketing here at OpsGenie, and I'm joined by Kevin Davis, our Sales Engineer. Kevin, how are you?
Good, Sean. How are you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. So we're going to jump right into it, folks. Not too many slides. We're going to be showing a lot of the product, but as always, if you have questions, please ask. You can use that. Go to webinar chat box on the right-hand side of your screen at any time. We prefer if you ask questions. Obviously, we're talking all about kind of incident flow, incident management, things of that nature. So if you have questions about how you're currently handling your own, we can tailor the presentation to your questions. So please don't be shy and share those as they come up. And then just one note before I hand things off to Kevin. So we're going to be obviously heavily focused on incident communication and kind of making an incident plan and being proactive around incidents. And then we're going to be diving into the OpsGenie product, because a lot of what you can do around incidents is tied to many of the product features and the benefits of them. So if you know what plan you're on, if you're an enterprise or enterprise plus customer, a lot of the stuff we're talking about that you have access to, whether you're using it or not, that's a good thing to start figuring out. If you're an enterprise customer, there's value there that you can be diving into that we can help you get into. And if you're on an Essentials Plan or Standard, or you're not sure what plan you're on, you can reach out to your account manager or customer success at any time, and they can help unlock those features for you. So just keeping a note of that up front as we get started to make sure that you have a good pathway forward once we're done to kind of go leverage and use everything that Kevin's going to talk about. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Kevin, make you the presenter here, and we will dive in.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Sean. So a lot of today's webinar, as you can imagine, is going to be around incidents. So the slide that I'm showing right now, really kind of what this is meant to represent is kind of the original way OpsGenie came to market. We're starting to work with a lot of customers around their general use case and foundational stuff for on-call schedules, alert management, escalation, reporting, and ultimately getting the alerts to the appropriate people. So that's where a lot of the stuff that most of our customers today are experiencing, working with any of the monitoring, ticketing, chat tools, and then at that point, putting some process around, what workflow should be leveraged, whether it's policies or escalations. So recently, what OpsGenie has done is, in the latest kind of version of incident response, is started to build two types of workflows. One being an automated approach, leveraging the rules and the filter conditions, as a lot of people are probably familiar with throughout the platform, but then also leveraging different types of templates and notification actions being sent to either internal folks, stakeholders, or anybody else that needs to be aware of an incident that actually kicks off. So with that whole process, we've now incorporated not just kind of what happens on a day-to-day between alerts, but ultimately correlating those alerts together, understanding what impact it has to the organization, going through defining the different services that we're responsible for, whether it's applications, billing, ingestion, search, all the different components that really keep your business up and running on a day-to-day basis, and then adding logic and rules through the rules engine to define exactly what should happen at that point. Should we capture and start to build out the workflow for the internal communication and start to send different notifications to the respective teams that are not only responsible for, but support the application that's having the issue, as well as the communication that's being sent out to what we call stakeholders, anybody that's not going to be taking rapid action and responding to that whole process. And during all of that, while all of this is going on in the background, what OpsGenie is able to do is automate a lot of the potential manual steps that are in place today. So as these alerts are coming into your OpsGenie account from the different monitoring tools, we create the alert. We do, obviously have the access to, update and manage any ticketing systems. But as all of that's going on and we leverage the rules engine to kick that communication off internally and externally and really start that major incident management process, we're able to, again, communicate effectively through email, text message, mobile push notifications to the stakeholders, the usual 4 contact methods that are available today for anybody that's a responder and taking action on the alerts, but then also give the stakeholders and the internal folks a single status page to go within the OpsGenie application to always get incident updates, allow the people that are actually working on the issue to stay working on the issue and perform and send updates out through a couple of different approaches, which we'll walk through today, and then ultimately focusing on incident resolution, the information that's produced for you after the fact with the OpsGenie reporting side of it, and then building out that proper RCA to understand what happened, what can be done better in the future, and then potentially looking to publish something out to your customers. So with that said, we'll jump right into the application, and we'll start to walk through exactly what we were just going through in those slides over there. So here in the OpsGenie platform, if you have incidents enabled currently, or if you're looking to start working with incidents, you will see a couple of additional icons now on the left-hand menu, where you see the service list, you'll see the incident command center, and in some cases, if you do have conference bridge technology, you will see that information there for you at that point in time. The service list, this is going to act as a quick health check dashboard for anybody, again, that is currently an internal user of the OpsGenie platform, or just a quick place for the stakeholders to come. If these services are made public to the organization, they'll immediately be able to understand, yes, there is an impact. No, maybe it's something just on my side, so I should take the proper procedure and either reach out to support rather than the engineering team and disturb them. From there, once we go and we click into any of the relevant services themselves, this first icon here will produce that status page, which is internal to the OpsGenie platform. So for my data ingestion service, currently all things are healthy. I can see that the site reliability team owns it, but there was currently an incident earlier today. Maybe there is still an incident that's going on. If you do have the opportunity as a responder within OpsGenie to create a new incident, if you are seeing something and you do want to be proactive and get ahead of it, you can create the incident directly from the status page itself. And if you're a stakeholder or somebody that's being impacted and seeing some type of delay in some service that the team supports, at that point, you can follow the standard process in place. But in future releases in this platform, you'll be able to go in as a stakeholder, as a responder, and actually create and submit your own issues, and then from there allow different users to upvote that issue to give you additional information on issues that might be ongoing throughout the entire system itself.
Yeah, and Kevin, I believe that specific feature, the problem reporting stuff, is scheduled for launch pretty soon.
Yeah, within probably the next 7 to 10 business days.
Right.
Yeah.
So that you guys will see that feature in there, that button Kevin's talking about.
Yeah, and there'll, I'm sure, be a webinar and another video put together for that as well.
Yep.
So really, thinking about what happens with the service. Again, here, this information is going to be available to the stakeholders. So if we look at it from two different types of visualizations, stakeholders can again see whether or not there's currently an impact. But more importantly, for the folks that are maintaining and making sure that there's always uptime for these services, this service health report for the particular service that we're working in right now, over a 2-month period, I can get this information I need to understand, how is my applications performing today? Why am I continuing to see, issues with service? Why are customers consistently reaching out? These health reports will give you the visibility to not only see the general metrics around time to close and time to resolve, but also a breakout of the number of incidents on a recurring basis over that time period that we define. We can see the number of incidents per day, drill into that information if needed, and then also understand whether or not we're updating and notifying stakeholders accordingly. And then down here, as we get into the bottom portion of the chart itself, OpsGenie is automatically, again, going to correlate the alerts together. The alerts, again, are what's going to ultimately create that incident based off the rules that we define, which we'll move into in the next couple of minutes. And then we're automatically going to either increase or decrease the priority based off of the actions that we set up within the template itself. So you'll be able to immediately gather that information and see exactly what's going on, and then ultimately what's contributing to these types of incidents, what occurred, was there something misconfigured, but always have visibility into the actual issue itself. These service health reports as well, based off the information that you've defined specific to the timeline, you don't always have to log in to grab this information. One of the newer features for anybody that's not familiar within the past couple of months is the ability to schedule reports. Whether it's your own individual report that you want to send out, or if you want to share it with anybody else that's a user or non-user of the OpsGenie platform, enter your email address here, the form in which the data should be presented, and then when we should actually be delivering that report to you. daily, weekly, or on a monthly basis, so you always have visibility and insight into the incidents that are ongoing within the system today. So from a high level, that's kind of, what you can expect is, visualization to this point, with not only what the stakeholders have insight into, but the types of information we're able to provide you, as these incidents are ongoing, or just giving you the different types of visibility needed. As we move into the particular service, which is under the Teams dashboard, where you can go and start to build out the different services under the service tab. Here is where we can start to build out all that different logic that we were talking about previously, whether it's utilizing templates, or if we want to go ahead and define different types of rules. Here we'll just give the service a name, the description, whether or not we want to make it private or public to the organization. But the most important part is going to be how we want to engage different teams, individual users, for additional support based off of either supporting you in the application itself and the service ultimately that's being impacted, or if we have SMEs on staff that always run into this issue, they're the ninjas internally, they know how to always fix this stuff. We can add them individually here, and then they'll all receive their own separate individual notification. And then stakeholders portion, either individual assignment can be done, or if you'd like, we can start to build out different types of filter conditions. For each user, their profile has the ability to take in any of the different types of geological information or geographical information that's needed. And then we can also look to add in tags within those users' profile to group them together, or leverage the custom fields, and then define if we want to look at departments, job titles, so on and so forth. That way, not only is the messaging targeted, but it's also relevant to the people that have the issue at the end at that point.
And there's a question about services and just the definition, like how does OpsGenie kind of define, when we're talking about services, we're talking about, what are we talking about?
Sure. The way that I think we define services and kind of what we're positioning to the market is, if you think of things that you're currently reporting on within a status page, some common examples that I've run into recently with some new customers is, the shopping cart link is broken. That can be considered a service because they're not able to take in revenue. So if that does happen, and whatever application or tool is monitoring that, as that alert comes in, this is where we can start to build those rules out, that this service, the shopping cart, we can't take money in from customers. That's being impacted. We need to bring all hands on deck, whoever it might be. I think that would be kind of one example of a service and how we're positioning it today. So building off of that, again, the rules here, this is very common to a lot of the different parts of the platform where we have the ability to define these if statements, whether it's in the integrations, the routing rules, or other sections of the platform. For the webinar today, I did something very simple. One, to make it easy to understand, but also to make it easy that I don't mess it up on the fly. So just looking at a tag specifically that has data ingestion contained within that tag. What I've done here in the actual template itself, these curly braces with the message and the description, all this is saying is whatever information is being passed through in the very first alert that gets created, we're automatically going to populate that information in here. So what I've done is to keep consistency with how I like to provide messaging to my end users is let them know that, hey, this is immediately known as a data ingestion incident based off of whatever system originally sent that alert through. I've classified my priority as high. I've selected a conference bridge room, so if needed, I can immediately start to collaborate and join the rest of my team members if I'm not in the office itself. And then the status page entry informing not only different departments, but also supporting groups as well that may be impacted by potential outage to this particular service itself. And then the template that I've provided, just kind of as an example here, is instead of having to go through and write up an RCA for everybody and kind of share it multiple times through email, I've just gone ahead and created an RCA template. I haven't put anything in here, but I have marked it as informational. So that way when it does get sent out to everybody, they can receive it in a different notification type, whether it's an email or any of the other ones that we support. And then whether or not I'm going to actually update the stakeholders, or if I should publish something around a press release, something like that based off of what happened. but really just giving you the ability to immediately, rapid recall. This was the issue that we saw. This was the impact to our organization, and then immediately, classify that, click update, and then send it out to everybody at that point. So again, the two approaches really that are available are the incident templates, which is more that manual process. Some other use cases around this are certain folks, whether it be in the major incident team or just dev or ops teams in general, do obviously want some type of manual intervention first. And the templates will certainly help with that as well. As you see these alerts come through, you do have the ability to grab, group, and classify them for the particular service, and then start the communication that way, or have the rules engine already built out to immediately capture that information and seamlessly kick the workflow and notification methods off at that point too. And for anybody wondering, the health report that I was reviewing, one was produced every single time you do create a service. So that's where I went and captured that information for anybody else that was trying to capture it.
And Kevin, on the incident templates, when you create one of those, that's going forward in time, right? So if I've got a bunch of alerts that would have been tied to that template from previous weeks or months, it's like it's starting fresh from the time that template's created.
So
you group.
You can group after the fact. The information in the service health report and ultimately the post-incident analysis report will be from that point in time when the service is created.
Right. Okay.
It will not account for if the alerts came in a couple of days prior, but you still can grab all of those alerts, associate them to that particular service, and then from there be able to drill into the particular days those alerts came through.
Cool.
But from the time it's created moving forward, you'll have all of that available. The other way to send off and kick off communication is through our mass notifications. This is just a simple one-way push out through email, text message, or the mobile push notification. These are not going to update the status page, but I did want to provide another approach to updating and sending out information if you do not want to actually publish this information on OpsGenie's internal status page. So here we have a couple of different scenarios where we do see the first incident come through. We can immediately leverage this mass notification template. I've added in one individual user here, but again, if we wanted to, we could leverage the filter conditions and group users in a unique way. And then once I have that available through the alerts dashboard, I'll walk through the process of how you can go about sending that. I can immediately communicate out to a large audience, letting them know, being proactive, we're experiencing this type of issue, refer to our status page for any updates. When we have a fix actually coming on its way, and then ultimately once we resolve the issue, just having the different pieces of information, kind of general, but still effective as far as being proactive and communicating, not only internally but externally as well. And this is the part where I've seen a lot recently, which is why I asked to put the webinar together, is this process here tends to increase the time to resolve and ultimately the time to close, is having to go back and try to capture the information from the documentation, either from the conference bridge or any other meeting rooms or Slack channels or HipChat, putting a general framework together to be more proactive. From the feedback I've seen, it has at least allowed customers to be more agile, and what they're sending to customers is more controlled while they actually continue to work in the background to piece together exactly what happened until they can produce and publish a true RCA.
Right, having all that information in one spot, like you said, having to go back and run around while the stuff's hitting the fan, so to speak, to get it all organized.
Exactly.
And which you never end up catching up to.
Right.
Yeah.
And along with the new kind of problem reporting stuff that we had mentioned earlier, that's going to be coming out. We're also going to be adding in the ability to customize the mass notifications. You'll be able to add in your own logo, your own custom branding, so that way when it is sent out, whether it's to customers or to internal folks, certainly we want to keep security in mind and make sure that it's branded messaging reflecting your current internal process today. So that will also be incorporated in that release in the next 7 to 10 business days.
Awesome. And there's a question from a guy, Chris here. Do all the people you notify have to have paid seats in OpsGenie?
Yes, they do. Yep. There is different licensing tiers. The main responder licensing packages are published on our website, the new website that Sean and team has put out in the past couple of days. So congrats to them. But the responder licensing is up there. If you do have questions around the stakeholder licensing, if you're working with somebody already in the sales department or the account management team, reach out to them and they'll be able to share that information with you and work with you on a structure that makes sense. And for future reference as well, just so everyone is aware, a stakeholder, what they're actually able to see is very limited. So if there is a question around that, instead of having to create a test user with a stakeholder relationship, stakeholders only have access to my profile to update and maintain their own contact information. They'll have access to the service list, so they can get visibility into the status page as well as the current health of a snapshot, and then the ability to log out, and that's it. So moving on, the next part I'm going to kind of run through is how that automated process actually works. So I'll kick off an alert here, have that run through, and then we'll see all the different pieces start to kind of fit together. So I just ran a simple kind of post within Postman to kick something off, to make it easier for everybody. What you'll see here is two different types of alerts. The reason for that is because we did classify the rule itself. What we're saying is this is the owner alert because this service is owned by the site reliability team. They're the one responsible for data ingestion. This associated alert is the very first alert that was kicked off. And why it's saying associated is because it's associated with the first incident that it created. As you click into the incident itself, we'll see we have it classified as a priority 2, just as we did within the rule itself in the actual service, right here. From there, we can also see we're going through and we're updating and communicating to our ITSM and ticketing tool, and then we'll see all the relevant information that you would typically see. Now, the added benefit on top of this, again, you'll have the status page available, and then you will be able to immediately go in and see the related incident directly from this alert itself. The service status page is going to be updated. Communication's already been sent out internally and externally to responders and stakeholders. So if stakeholders need a place to go, they can come here with the most accurate information. And then the responders can start to work through the issue at hand. So the 2 additional tabs that are now available are going to be responders. So in the process of us going through and communicating to the multiple teams, very different approach than what's in the platform today, where if you try to notify 2 teams at the same time, if somebody on the SRE team goes and takes acknowledgement, then as most people are aware, that's going to stop escalation and communication to the ops team. So these responder alerts are actually single alerts that are being sent out to the respective teams, ensuring that we're not stopping communication and we are actually able to get everybody on the call that's needed at that point. And then the stakeholder communication piece, we can see that we've reached out to 2 different stakeholders. Because this is a demo environment, I don't have anybody's contact information configured. And then we can see here an event timeline for the logs that we've updated and notified those 2 stakeholders as well. And then the associated alert section, again, thinking kind of order of process, your integration will create the alert. The alert, based off of the filter you've defined within the service, will then capture that and then create the incident. So as multiple alerts continue to come through, then we'll go ahead and we'll just immediately associate those alerts with this particular incident. So if I just kick something off a couple more times, we'll see this update with now 3 more alerts that have come through. Now from here, this is where the conference bridge technology comes into play, but some of the added actions that are now available. If for some reason something was either misclassified or somebody's out that day or you do need an additional resource, whether it's from the incident page itself, you can go through and add the different responders. You can add the different stakeholders. Resolve will now act as that acknowledge function, and then close will still ultimately close down and turn everything off. So clicking into the conference bridge, I'll be able to select which one I have available and I want to use at that point. I'll give this 1 second to load for us. There we go. from here, we'll be able to, obviously join the session. During this time period, we can also see anybody else that's been notified in this activity stream over here, and then start to go through and work through the different parts of, kind of general conference bridge technology. The incidents, everything that's displaying here, again, those are those different responder alerts that we're sending to the individuals themselves or the respective teams. So we can click onto this at any point and immediately know if somebody's taken action and they're about to join the bridge. For some reason, if no one's still joining the call, instead of having to step away, pull up somebody's email address, find somebody's phone number in your cell phone, you can just go ahead, add the team directly in this section. We'll run through, notify the person that's on call, and then we can go ahead and we can actually notify somebody directly. Add that there, and then same order of process, just like if you're creating a manual alert or a regular alerts coming through, this is just gonna add them and then send out the proper notification. And then here we'll see everything being logged, tracked. People can then join directly from their mobile app, or they can join from the web UI. And then at that point, immediately start to collaborate, work on the issue at hand, and then completely get the issue resolved as quickly and as efficiently as possible at that point in time. So Sean and I will go ahead and join the bridge from my cell phone. You can see
there you are.
Me on the mobile app.
Ready to go.
Sean as well.
Somewhere
Somewhere over here.
We're here. We're ready to solve this incident.
So it doesn't really matter to us, where the person is. We want to give them the true functionality and the ability to not only be aware, but be available if needed to immediately jump on any of these particular issues. Yep. Again, kind of getting ahead of things. Version 2.0 for this, again, number 7 to 10 business days. A lot of feedback from customers around chat, the ability to set milestones, the ability to immediately send communication out, whether it's internally or externally. Heard you, there were some things that we needed to work through from a partner perspective, as far as technology not yet being developed for what we wanted to do. So now we're excited to get that rolled out for everybody, and what you'll be able to do is have that chat functionality within the system, but also leverage those different chats to set milestones and then start to piece together a timeline based off of what's being put in that chat. Define and put roles in place for whoever's going to be the incident commander, the scribe, ultimately the person that's going to document everything and then follow up with the information needed, and then continue to create your own custom roles. If those aren't, the terminologies that you all use internally, will empower you to customize and fit your specific needs and your use cases at that point, and really kind of build on the incident management process.
Yeah, as Kevin mentioned, all that stuff's in the works with the product team right now. On the marketing side, the product marketing side, we're actually working on videos and how to kind of walk through some of the details. So all that stuff's on staging at this point. So stay tuned, as you mentioned. We'll be adding functionality soon.
Yep. So as we go through and kind of take care of the rest of the parts of the incident, we figured out what the issue is. We're sending out the communication to different folks that we need to update. So if we go back to our alerts page here, if I want to leverage those mass notification templates that I've put out, hovering over create, once the incident stuff is all set for you, type your team in, select the appropriate template, all the information will auto-populate. Click create, send out the notification, and then under the all section, you'll have your mass notification documented. We can, again, send it to any ticketing tool that you want to have this information documented in. The activity log of everybody that we were notifying, summary, and then from there we can go ahead and just close this down. We don't need it anymore. We've sent out our communication. The status page has already been updated for us automatically. Once we close this, communication will be sent out again internally and externally to those stakeholders at that point. And then from there we'll be able to figure out what exactly it was that happened in that automated approach that we took for the incident itself. Now, once this is all shut down, we've taken care of the issue at hand. Certainly, visibility is the most important piece of all of this. So as we go through and look to completely understand what's going on at that point, we can come directly to our post-incident analysis report. So here, once we shut down and close the incident, we'll have that post-incident analysis report generate for us where we can go in, we can click it, capture it directly from there with the information that's in here, typical stuff that you'll look to see, whether or not it's currently closed, how long it took to resolve, how long it took to actually respond to the issue, the duration, whether or not we were notifying stakeholders, timeline information for how long the incident was going on for, because it was for almost, I don't know, 17 days, it looks like. Our collaboration sessions are gonna look a little smaller than they probably should, but we can see down here the specific collaboration information from the conference bridge that we joined, how many users were participating, how many sessions, what the duration was, the multiple sessions that we had, the different teams that had joined, and then here, different folks that we notified from the respective teams and how long it took them to take action or did not take any action, and then if they joined the bridge or not, and how many times they actually joined. And then just like all the other reports, download, export. I wouldn't schedule this report. You're just gonna get the same report over and over again. So one of these would probably work best for you at that point in time. And then the last kind of approach around the incident management, incident management piece and kind of that communication and streamlining that even further. One of the questions that came up is, if I create this service, can I go ahead and capture different alerts? So if I go ahead and take a look at any of the open CloudWatch alerts that I have, I can go ahead, I can take a look at those. I can either, again, create the incident, or I can associate it with an incident that previously happened. So we'll attach that to 145, which is the one that we were just working on. And then back under our incidents tab here, if we did miss those alerts and we wanted to put them through, select the appropriate one. And then under the associated alerts, we'll now have those two old alerts that should have been classified or at least grouped together for this particular scenario directly on there. So that way we can better and more accurately understand what happened and when. And then again, if we want to go through and create the manual approach, kind of leveraging the templates, which is why I call it manual, because there is somebody actually doing something. Hover over the create, select the incident. From here, it's just a matter of selecting any of the services that you want to engage with. So again, if we use that data ingestion, we have the RCA template available. If we want to work on the OMS issue, we can populate all of that. All the information will be predefined. Again, you'll have the ability to select and choose which OpsGenie hosted bridge you would like to use. And then as we move through the creation process, we can go ahead and add in any additional teams. We can go ahead and add in any additional responders. And then because we do want to notify stakeholders at that point, we can go ahead and either make changes or updates to this particular section, either individually or leveraging any of the address information or specific custom information that's built up. I won't create this because it'll create another incident for us. So one question that just came in, can I send events via HTTP put an alert on a number of events per time period? So the answer is yes, you can do that. Sending events to OpsGenie will generate the alert. Going about calculating the number of events per time period, what I would think we would need to do is work to build out a script to actually go ahead and capture that information, and then work with whomever to identify what the true use case is. But pretty straightforward, pretty easy stuff. It seems like not much that we probably couldn't do with a custom script, either one that we already have built or building one through either Python or Lambda. So please let us know. Sounds like an interesting use case.
Yeah, if they reach out to their rep or CS, we can help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can do it. Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Let's see. Now's a good time for questions if anyone has any. We've kind of gone through the material we wanted to cover. Let's see if there's any in the window here. So now's a good time to put those in if you have any. None that I have right now, but I'll take control back, and then if anything that does come up, we can always jump back in here.
Sure.
So let me just we can finish up. All right. All right, great. So hopefully you guys can see, yeah, I'm back to seeing my screen here. Yeah, so thanks, Kevin, for that. So again, just kind of back to the same call to action at the start. So want to get a little bit of feedback from you guys. So I want to put a poll on, based on everything you've seen, based on everything you've heard about not only incidents, but incident management. We talked a little bit about services, some of the unique things that you can do with OpsGenie. I'm just going to put a poll on screen, kind of gauge interest in who would like to get started using these features if you're not already using them. So you should see that poll pop up on the screen. You can vote. That's just another good way that we can kind of get information from you guys about, where you are in the adoption process, and if there's any customer out there or prospect or anyone else that we can reach out to help, we're happy to do that. Or as Kevin mentioned, you guys can reach out to us any old time you want. Let's see, we got a bunch of people saying, yep, can be started.
Yeah, and I think, yes, get me started can also be kind of like a, placeholder to follow up to even just learn a little bit more around.
Right, yeah,
things
right.
that we
You may not be ready
cover
today,
individually.
Right, a lot of these are customized scenarios, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do all day.
Yep,
yeah,
pretty much.
That's why we got Kevin. Cool, all right, so I'll close that down. That's helpful. And so let's see, any other questions? One last call for questions here. In the window, I'll check. Oh, here's one from Jay. That was authentication setup. Can it integrate without Active Directory?
Yes, you can. We work with all the popular identity providers, Google, Okta, OneLogin. We also have SAML integration as well for Active Directory. There's also other advantages as well, or I guess other approaches. You can set up two-factor authentication, set time or passwords to expire within a specific time period, and then do more role-based controls within the users section as well, leveraging the role templates.
Cool. All right. Yes, now's the time. If anyone has any last questions, now's the time to put them in there. And just as a reminder, if after the fact questions come up, or as Kevin just said, a lot of this stuff, there's a bigger process in play in terms of the strategy and how you're going to implement it. So we're happy to help. You can get in touch with us anytime on the website or in-app. In the bottom right corner will be a little intercom chat box, and we're happy to help at any time anything comes up. But with that, I think we will wrap it up for today. Thank you everyone for joining us on the webinar. We hope you found it useful. We hope it's a good primer for anyone who's thinking about moving the instance side and organizing their instance with OpsGenie. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.